Now, if you remember, when I trimmed my boxes that I made, I used this method here where I had this clamped with a couple of Festool quick clamps, just holding this in place that way. And then okay, so there's an after picture for you. And that, let's see, this side I guess would be, there's a before, and then an after. So let me run all the pins, but you can see it gets rid of 98 or 99% of all that stuff, glue and all that stuff is just gone. It'll be much easier to sand. So that looks pretty good. Now just a little sanding on that, and we'll be good to go. You see I left just a little glue right there, but that's no big deal. So I decided to make a more permanent option of this, or version I should say. And it's going to be something like this, where this piece will still sit into the groove, but I'm going to have to mill that down so it'll fit in there, and then I'm going to have a piece attached to it here so that all I need to do then is slip it on, tighten a couple bolts that hold it together, you know, like this, and it'll be a lot easier and I think a lot safer actually, because you'll have nothing in the way as you're running your pieces. Okay, so now you get the idea what I'm going here, or going after. So this fits in the slot. I've got a little wiggle room, you know, but not a lot. But now I want this to be square. So what I'm going to do is bring this other piece in, clamp them together like that. That'll square things up, and then it'll register against these. It'll register against the face of the fence, keeping this parallel to the face. Been about an hour. One thing that you didn't see was I added a couple of clamps here on each end to make sure I was tight up against that shoulder that I was telling you about earlier and showed you. So let's take it apart and see what it looks like here. Looks good. Got a little bleed through of glue on the backside, which is fine. You can see I got a nice bead right there. But that's going to fit perfect. So now I just need to drill a couple holes here. So So you can see the lip that I made for the shoulder. The right angle piece that's fastens it to the fence, and like I said, if I did this over again, I would have had it up proud here so that it would be easier to clamp. And then you can see the bolt here, my reinforcement block. Got to loosen this one up a little bit here. So there you go. Slides on and off nice and easy. Let me put it in position over the blade and we'll see how easy it is to set up. There it is. I just rough eyeballed it here. But if you were to put a piece like this, and then as you sight down the blade this direction, you can see that little bit of daylight between the blade and the outside edge here. And that's all you're looking for. Just moving it, centering it over the blade and locking it down. To me, that's night and day. A lot safer than what I was doing before with this stick, basically in the slot, and it had clamps on either end. They were kind of in the way. Now everything is perfect here. So if your pins were sticking out proud here, all you would have to do is run your box along this way, and your blade would trim them fairly close, I'll put it that way. And then run it the other way. Just as I was getting ready to put stuff away, I thought, what if you just turn it around and flip it upside down, right? Now look at the capacity you have here. What do we got? Let's see, this measures 3 inches. About 2 1/4 inches. I mean, that's a pretty heavy joint if you're flushing up something like that. But you could do your 3/4 inch box joints now without any problem. Raise the blade up. And there you go. Just run your edge against this. Okay, I'm sitting upstairs at my computer doing my video editing on this jig, and it hits me like a ton of bricks, basically. Right here, this is good for doing 1/2 inch joints only, basically, or 1/4 inch joints, anything smaller than 1/2. But if you had something larger, like I showed you, I flipped it around, but then this has got to be too high, I think. So here's the solution. This now becomes slotted, and it can move up and down as well as in and out, and instead of using countersunk bolts, just use a washer on some socket head type bolts and you're good to go. So I'm going to make one more version of this and do it the way I just explained it to you. This will end up being a bit taller. To give me a piece to work with, I'll slot it and then put it together and show you what I have. Here's what I decided to make the second jig out of. These are just both pieces of scrap. You can see this one's even got some screw holes in it. This is going to be my back side, and then this is going to be a piece that I use to fasten to it and put some slots in it here. I'm going to leave it this big so it gives me something to hang on to, but I'll end up ripping it down right along this edge here. So I'll put my slots in it, you know, somewhere in this neighborhood here, and then trim this junk off. Now you can see why I wanted that extra capacity on this, and it worked out pretty well. But these are best made with a router edge guide because I don't have a miter slot on my router table. Otherwise you could do it there too, but this way I can plunge it down, make my cuts, and then just reverse the board and do the same thing. So I'm set to go here except for dust collection, but I'm not even going to worry about that because these are so small. It's not really going to matter anyway. It's a little bit snug and it doesn't move that freely up and down. So just a little touch here. Much better. So, all right, I don't know what I was thinking the first time, but I still like my first version. It's you know, it's going to work very well for smaller joints. This one, however, has got the capacity to go up and down, and then, like I say, now that I've got, if I wanted to set it for 3/4 inch joints, I just set my workpiece underneath it, add a little bit, and then I know that my joints will slide underneath there. And you know, setting it flush is the same procedure as before. So it works great. So, you know, up and down here. I mean, it goes down to about 1/4 inch off the table. Yeah, I'd say that's about right, about 1/4. And then fully up. Let's see what we're at here. 1 1/8. You know, and these washers are not inhibiting this from going up to its full height. So, but I don't ever plan on cutting anything that big. And if I did, again, I could turn this one over like I did with my other one and use it that way. So, you know, set your height. And you're good to go. And the other thing that you could do with this would be, if you wanted to bury your blade in this, you've got much more material to work with. So if you wanted to put the blade in, you know, just yeah, whatever, 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch into the height of the or thickness of this, you could do that if you wanted to. I don't know why, but you could do it. So maybe there's some other uses for it. If you think of something, give me a holler. Let me know. But for me, that's going to be my primary use for this. Is just going to be to trim joints like that or that. You know, whichever it'll work both directions. And this fence is 25 inches long about, compared to the other one, which was 18. Well, this one's 26. The other one, yeah, 18. So there you have it. Flush trimming joints on the table saw. You know, V1 and V2 right there. Thanks for watching.